The Torah is no longer our authority in terms of legal or obedience.
Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different.
It's not going to be our usual fun, lovey jabber time.
Not that we don't love this guy.
But I know, we know, there has been a lot of people in uproar over R.L., I think his last name is Steinberg, over a request that he's made.
Professor Steinberg.
Yeah, and he has um, basically asked for everyone to report or track down Torah keepers, Torah observant, Hebrew roots, any one of those sorts of sects or
Yeah,
denominations, if
and
you will.
he's labeled us everybody as Torahism.
Yeah, and
It's like a sickness.
apostasy and heresy is basically what he's accusing, and he's basically going on a witch hunt. And while he's saying he's not doing this, he's been
Yeah,
around for some years doing this, and I guess he's just gotten to a point where he wants to know where we're at now. Instead of just doing what he's been doing, which is his normal online shtick, and having a couple of debates. He's debated Sean Griffin. He's debated Melissa. What's her last name? You know who I'm talking about.
yeah.
But he's debated quite a few Torah observant, Torah keeper, Messianic Jew, etc. So I'm not sure why he would want to or need to know where we're at. So this video is about that. We're going to put in some clips.
Yeah.
And originally, Brad and I had discussed doing like a reaction video.
Yeah, or maybe even a rebuttal. But after watching some of this guy's stuff, and honestly, I'm going to show a clip of Sean Griffin, Kingdom in Context. He destroys this guy. He doesn't have any. There's
Melissa
no
did too.
reason for us to rebuttal this guy.
Hmm.
And Jen's going to go over some of the facts of the matter, and we're going to cover a few different angles that this guy could be playing around in this thing they call Earth. I don't know exactly what his angle is, but I don't think that it's very fruitful.
Right, absolutely.
He's literally telling people to stop following the Father.
Yeah.
I mean that's what it all boils down to.
And so be that as it may, we're not going to, as Brad said, we had discussed doing it, but we're not going to do a rebuttal video. We're not going to do um, a look at what this guy's saying. If you want to go check him out, by all means, go do that. But there's really no point, as we said, since he's already debated and spoken to several people that have literally, like Brad said, just demolished his arguments.
Demolished.
He still has a very large following. I hadn't even really heard of him. I guess like through the years I may have heard his name once or twice, but I hadn't really heard of him until this flyer came out. Do you want to put that on the screen so we can read it really quick?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just keep talking about it without reading it to everybody.
So it says, "Hey friends, our apologetic ministry has begun mapping out areas where Torah observant Christian movements, aka Hebrew roots or Torah keepers, are influencing or disrupting mainstream Christian congregations and families. Our goal is to resource and encourage pastors and churches in those areas and help their congregations recognize and respond biblically to teachings that undermine the gospel. If you know of a teacher, congregation, or organization you think might fit that description, please email us at ministry at let us know who and where they are so we can carefully research and evaluate the situation. Thanks for your help. The Biblical Roots Ministries team."
So, from a Christian sort of perspective, I can see where this would look like a good thing. They're like, hey, these guys are apostate and they're heretics and they're leading people away from the Father. So I can see why they would think it's a good thing. But as I've written a piece, and Brad and I went over it together, and it's what I'm going to come back with. But it always starts off as something small and grows to something bigger. That's just always the way it goes, or it
Yep.
completely fizzles out. But I just don't see this fizzling out because of some other things that are going on at the same time,
Yep.
that have nothing to do with his ministry at all.
Sure. And I don't think that we're going to show a few clips of his, but there's like we said at the beginning of this, there's no reason for us to rebuttal his
Arguments.
blasphemy, in my opinion.
Sure.
There's no reason for it. It's just silly. It's not even close.
I agree. But anyway, there's going to be a couple of clips coming your way, and then I'll be back with what I've written and we've gone over. And then we may have a couple of closing remarks or some more clips at the end. I mean, we're kind of just doing this as we go. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so check these out.
Anyone who says that they are doing the law or tells anyone to obey the laws of Moses is demonic and lying. This comment can't possibly be real, right? This can't be from an actual human who claims to love the God of the Bible and follow the Messiah of the Bible. It can't be. This has to be like some kind of demonic trolling here, because if you believe this, then you don't believe in the Bible at all. First of all, let's address the law of Moses here, because a lot of these people seem to have not actually read what the Bible says about the law of Moses. And Aaron spoke all the words that the Lord spoke to Moses. God spoke to Moses. God spoke to Moses. God spoke to Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses. Lord spoke to Moses. Lord spoke to Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying. Are you guys starting to see the pattern here? If you think the law of Moses was made up by Moses, you prove that you haven't actually read the Bible.
We don't defend just one narrow flavor of Christianity. No, we defend what C.S. Lewis called mere Christianity. So we affirm the core beliefs of historic mainstream Protestant Christianity that all major traditions hold to, right? So in Matthew 5:18, Jesus says, "Not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished." And the question is this: what did Jesus mean when he said all?
Okay, that was R.L. Soleberg, and in his video, he argues that Jesus could not have meant what he said in Matthew 5:18.
That can't be what he meant.
How Peter and Paul got it, and Peter and Paul are explaining it to the first century audience, and they understood it. And then Marcion came along, and I've seen in the comments, Rob, I've seen a lot of the people, obviously, from your channel. Why are we even talking about the Old Testament?
But we don't see that specific command elucidated until we get to Exodus 20.
Right.
So I would never claim, well, that's an anachronistic insertion. When I see that they're doing a first fruit in Genesis 4, and it directly calls it a first fruit, and then I see the definition for that in Deuteronomy 18, why would I think it's not me just eisegetically imposing something to say, well, oh, I'm just going off the definitions of the words defined in later context.
Okay, so following these clips, we want to again stress, Brad and I are not here to battle someone. We recognize that either he doesn't want to see, because he has spoken to many people who are on the ancient path and who are back to the truth of keeping the narrow way of the Torah. Or we don't want to battle him because his eyes haven't been opened yet by the Father. I've got some things I want to say here, so I'm going to be reading through them. The Father is the only one who opens the eyes and gives truth. Yahusha told Peter, when Peter proclaimed that he was the Son, that only the Father could have showed him this, that no man taught him. And that's in Matthew 16:17. We also know that Yahuwah hardens hearts for his purpose, as he did with Pharaoh in Egypt during the Exodus. That's Exodus 7-12. The quote-unquote Torah movement or Hebrew roots movements are not against Christians. Please understand. We love them enough to tell them the truth, even when their leaders are one, purposefully hiding it, two, they're not awakened to it, or three, they don't have the understanding or discernment given by the Father. Yahuwah will have mercy on who he chooses to have mercy on. That's Exodus 33:19. And Paul even reiterates this in Romans 9, specifically verse 15. If you want more lessons on how to keep Torah or why we keep Torah, what it means, what laws apply to you, or how it applies to Christians today, then you should check out the links in the description. We have suggestions of people you can start with. There's Adam with Parable of the Vineyard, Jason Van Hustine, Sheepdog Ministries, Luke with Leaving Churchianity, Andrew with Outside the Camp, Lex with Unlearn the Lies, Ron with Truth Unedited, and also Matthew Jensen. These are just a few of the teachers that are out there. I would also recommend Rob Skiba, though he's not with us anymore. We do not have 100% agreement with all of these men. As R.L. Steinberg points out, there are different sects of Torah walking, but he uses this to point out there's a flaw with Torah keeping or even attempting to do that. But it's worth noting that there are over 33,000 denominations of Christianity. In Torah keeping, we find the Torah observant Christianity, Torah observant only, Hebrew roots, Messianic Torah keepers, Messianic Jews, and there may be others that we're unaware of. We don't ascribe to any of those. We prefer to call ourselves followers of the way because we don't want to identify as anything other than following Yahuwah through Yahusha's example and keeping the commands of the Father to show him that we are grateful for his merciful sacrifice of his Son and our acceptance of Yahusha's voluntary sacrifice to redeem us back to the Father. The Torah, in the Torah movement, the truth is that no one has it 100% right in this movement. We are being led by the Father and our eyes are being opened. But part of the gig is to truly seek him and to study to show ourselves approved. In Jeremiah 29:13, he says, "Seek me and you shall find me when you search for me with all of your heart, mind, and soul." And 2 Timothy 2:15, he says to study to show yourself approved. And once again, that is Paul writing a letter. The only time that we will on earth have everything 100% right is in the millennial kingdom when Yahusha himself comes down and shows us how to 100% keep the Torah, ruling with an iron rod. In this day and age of technology, it is easy to have keyboard battles and even make videos. Sometimes it is even easy to debate for clickbait and views. But is it all really fruitful? RL has accused the Torah community of trying to be divisive to the Christians, who again, as we have already said, are already divided into over 33,000 different denominations. So simply, this isn't true. We are trying to bring people to the truth because we are commanded to love our neighbor, our enemies, and to make disciples, which means students of the word. In some closing thoughts, 1, Yahuwah is the only one who opens eyes. We just plant the seeds. Yes, we can be very zealous, especially when we first come to the truth, because we're so excited about the truth and we want so desperately to share it with anyone who will listen and even those who won't. 2, Brad and I want to encourage all of those who are truly trying to follow the Father's will to continue in that, to keep searching, to keep digging, to keep studying, and to keep praying. 3, in response, sort of, and about RL's post to, quote, find us and log where we are and where we gather, we want to encourage you all to stay calm. We knew this was coming. In Daniel 7:25 and Revelation 12, the prophecies both show us that there is a time when the Antichrist body, which is many peoples, probably from many different nations, but they will search for us and they will, for a time, overcome us. Yahusha also says that when they think to kill us, that they will think that they're doing the Lord's work. And that is in John 16:2. This can be, as I said, of any religion or nationality as well. But it always starts small, like with the Holocaust, if you believe that that happened. First, they found the people, then they marked the people, then they gathered and moved the people, and then they killed the people. Even if the Holocaust never happened, if you're one of those people that thinks it didn't happen, there is a great history of this happening throughout time, as with the Egyptians that enslaved the Israelites in Exodus. We find this with the Romans, who killed many different peoples at the stakes and on the crosses. We find this in the Crusades and the wars over the Holy Lands, both with the Christians as well as the Muslims and some of the Jews. And we also find this with the Salem witch trials, and it goes on and on and on. There are hundreds of Nigerians being killed because of their Christianity by Muslims in Nigeria as we speak. It seems as though it is beginning here for us in this time with the Torah Roots movement, with the Torah Observant movement, with the Hebrew Roots movement, whatever you want to call it. It's coming back to the ancient path and to the ways of the Father and his prescribed commands. He says he never changes. So we want to encourage you in this time. Do not be afraid or discouraged. In Matthew 10:19-21, as well as 28, Yahusha encourages us and says not to be afraid of those who can kill only the body, only the one that can kill the soul and the body, and to think not what we say when we're brought in and we're persecuted, because in that hour we'll be given what to say, if we're given anything. We want to encourage you to pray for strength and good courage during this persecution. In Matthew 5:11-13, Yahusha says that we are blessed when people revile us and persecute us. And in 1 Peter 4:16, he also encourages us that it's a good thing when we're persecuted as Christians or ones who are trying to be Christ-like. We encourage you also to teach your children diligently, Proverbs 22:6. So if this doesn't end up happening in our time, but happens in their time or even their children's time, that there will be a faithful people, a faithful remnant here when Yahusha comes back for our glorious resurrection and the second Exodus. There is a question we want you to think about. When you are faced with persecution, are you ready for the test? Are you ready to stand up and stand firm on your faith? Revelation 12:17, 13:10, 14:12, 16:15, and 22:14 all say that the end times saints have two things. They keep the commandments of Yahuwah, and they have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. Paul quotes Isaiah, Ephesians 5:14. Wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine upon you. In Isaiah 60, verse 1, he says, Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahuwah has risen upon you. Romans 13:11, Paul says, Besides this, you know the time, that the hour has come for you to awake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than it was when we first believed. Salvation is not when you accept Yahusha. It's when you endure in the faith to the end, when you follow Yahusha's example of doing the Father's will. In Matthew 24:13, Yahusha tells us to endure. And our question is, are you ready to do that?
So, as you can see, we do not have to listen or be afraid to anything this guy says. We don't have to tell him where we live, or we can. This is fantastic This is going to get other people to want to open their Bibles and read their Bibles. We have enough stuff going on in the world that we do not have to pretend like the world's not crumbling around us. In the days of Noah, and just like Matthew 24 tells us, when the birthing pains start, and they've been started, in my opinion, for a long time. So we don't have to pretend like everything's just groovy. Most of the population of America is Christian. It's predominantly a Christian world right now. How can that be? How can that be a thin, narrow path if everybody's doing it? If everybody, your preacher, local friend, everyone at your church, they're all saying the same things. You don't have to do these things. This is all ceremonial. What are you, Jewish? We've all heard it. We all understand now, as we've came to the truth, that this is absolutely false. All we have to do is keep pushing. Matthew 24 tells us a lot of things are going to be getting crazy here at the end. And that's okay. We don't have to be afraid. Keep the faith. Endure to the end. That's what we're commanded to do. There's one commandment that stands out. Love the Father with all your heart, mind, and soul. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means if you love Him, keep His commandments. It's real simple. All of them. Anything that applies to you as a man, a woman, a preacher, a leader, a farmer, that's for you. It's real simple. Anything that doesn't apply to you, uphold it, stand for it, and push forward. In closing, we're just going to say, check out these other clips. Look how the rest of the world is falling apart daily. Look how these other teachers and pastors are twisting up the word to their own demise. Just as Peter said that people that follow Paul's letters falsely would do. And it's kind of sad if you think about it. Check this out.
Now, O Christians in the East and the West, hear me and obey. I am a messenger sent to you from Jesus Christ, alayhi salam. Paul is false and led you astray. The church is corrupt and no longer upholds the law of God.
Christmas trees, pagan. Giving out gifts, pagan. Every bit of it is pagan. Every single bit of it is pagan. We've Christianized it all. And so that's good. And
terrifying moments at a church in central Nigeria. A pastor and his worshipers are in the middle of prayer when all of a sudden, the sound of gunshots.
You know what, if I want to eat that, you know what, but everything is good.
That's a weird thing for a Christian to say, that I can go ahead and eat human arms drizzled in cockroach sludge.
I'm trying to stay within the context of Scripture.
Does that sound like you're trying to stay in the context of Scripture when you say it's okay to eat a human arm drizzled in cockroach sludge?
Well, then you're under arrest on suspicion of failing to comply with the Public Spaces Protection Order, which is under the Antisocial Behaviour Commons Policing Act 2014.
Protests going on here in the Klal, in the heart of Jerusalem, because the Messianic Jewish Alliance is gathered, and believers from all over Israel are gathered in the pavilion to lift up the name of Yeshua. And that's not really welcomed by a lot of people here in Israel. That's not.
The papacy has been stolen and the rightful heir has been pushed aside. There is no one else but me that you are obliged to obey. May God be a witness that I have proclaimed.
A couple years ago, we were here in the same place, and they yelled, Yeshua's dead, and different things in Hebrew. There was tear gas. I'm grateful that tonight there hasn't been any overt violence. People are yelling, people are...
And we see them on the Mount of Transfiguration with Jesus. So Moses finally makes it into the promised land. Moses and Elijah, the law and the prophets, are sitting with Christ, and God's voice booms down. And what does he say? This is Moses, who I am well pleased. Follow him? No. He says, listen to my son.
So I just want to ask you, if you would join me in praying for there to be restoration in this land, that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would be worshipped.
The Torah is no longer our authority in terms of legal or obedience.